This is the Good Government Show.
Yeah, I did 40 years in the Fresno Police Department, the last 18 as the police chief before becoming the mayor of Fresno. So we have to get people to realize there's a lot more good than there is bad. You know, at the local level, mayors get to hear things firsthand. If there's a concern in the community, we're going to hear about it pretty quickly. That may not be the case at the state and federal level. If we did not have the farm workers in our community that generally come from Mexico, we would not be able to produce the amount of food that we do across the nation. When you've been in public service and you feel the call to continue to be in public service, you can't say no. I think there's this misnomer out there that people in government don't care.
ICE agents are now very visible on America's streets. Their actions have led directly to 2 deaths and protests across the country. The mayor of Fresno, California, is also the city's former police chief and in an exceptional position to talk about current policing in America's cities. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm Dave Martin. First, help us share the message of good government by liking us and sharing us where we are on social media. Make sure to review us and send our show everywhere. We all need to talk about good government. I heard Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer speak at the recent Conference of Mayors during a breakout session called Current Issues in Policing. What better person to talk about policing and the incursion of ICE on the nation's city streets? While ICE agents have made headlines in some cities, they have not been as active in his California city. But Fresno is in the agricultural Central Valley of California. It's the state's breadbasket. As the mayor will tell you, they have a lot of immigrant farm workers there. And as he will also tell you, they're scared to go to work, to church, and to send their kids to school. And we talk about crime, or actually the reduction in crime. We talked about why some people don't think crime is down when it actually is. When Mayor Dyer talks about law enforcement and immigration policy that affects his residents, he draws on his experience as a police chief, a police officer, and now mayor. So it's a viewpoint that's certainly worth listening to. So listen, coming up, Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer. We have a new partner here on the Good Government Show, HelloNation. This is a new digital magazine that showcases the best of cities across the nation. We'd all prefer if good news traveled faster. At HelloNation, positive stories don't just get told, they get amplified. HelloNation helps businesses, leaders, and communities share positive stories that matter, building trust, credibility, and meaningful connection. Through professionally produced podcasts, digital features, and targeted distribution, HelloNation positions you as the answer regular folks are looking for, while expanding and scaling your digital footprint across the platforms that people trust. Good news deserves momentum. Your city or your business can help spread the word of good news across the nation. At HelloNation, they don't just have advertisers, they have advertisers. Editorial content from trusted community leaders and cities that are helping spread the good news. Let HelloNation lift you up and lead the conversation. Visit HelloNation.com to learn more. Once you wrap up this episode of the Good Government Show, give a listen to our friends over at Good News for Lefties. This daily podcast highlights news stories that show there's more good news out there. Other people in government are really trying to do the right thing. That's Good News for Lefties. Listen where you're listening now. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm happy to have with me Jerry Dyer. He is the mayor of Fresno, California. Welcome to the Good Government Show.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. You just finished up a panel discussion here at the Conference of Mayors on current issues in policing.
Right.
And I've heard you talk a couple of times today at the conference, and definitely wanted to talk to you about a little bit about policing. And your background, I think we should establish, you were a police chief for 18 years.
Yeah, I did 40 years in the Fresno Police Department, the last 18 as the police chief before becoming the mayor of Fresno.
Did you have every job in the police department?
I worked a lot of good assignments from SWAT. I promoted all the way up from sergeant all the way to assistant chief to chief. And but I got a lot of tactical experience, major narcotics, undercover assignments, internal affairs.
Detective?
It was part of our tactical team, yes.
All right. I always wanted to be a detective. I guess being a reporter, you sort of work the same side of the street. Yes. So current issues in policing was something that you just moderated with the mayor of Providence, Rhode Island, Brett Smiley. What is the current issue in policing?
Well, I think there's a lot of issues that are confronting.
There's a lot. I want to see where you start.
So I would say, by and large, crime is down across America in police agents or cities. And that's good policing, that's community engagement. Crime is very cyclical. We're seeing the violent crime and property crime trends go down year after year. The problem is, I think sometimes...
For several years now.
For several years, probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Right.
The perception of crime hasn't followed. In that many folks in many jurisdictions across the country still see crime as a major problem. And I think it's because the fact is the things that bother them, the things that they see day in and day out are quality of life issues. A homeless person in front of their business, trash along the side of the road, anything that a theft that's occurring from their business or their car being broken into. Those are the things that most people on a day-to-day basis are plagued by, which is why they still see jurisdictions as having higher crime rates.
So while the homicide rates are down, that doesn't necessarily mean to them, to a lot of citizens, when they go to a downtown city and they see trash and homeless, doesn't matter what the other numbers are.
Right, exactly. The quality of life issues in terms of things that people are bothered by on a day-to-day basis, that's what they see. In violent crime, very few people are impacted by violent crime.
Right. Now I'm going to ask you what one of the panelists asked you just in the session we were at. So what do you do to change the narrative, to change the perception?
Well, part of that narrative is going to, or the perception is going to take time. People,
and come on the Good Government Show and talk about good government.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about good government here.
Thank you.
But the truth is we don't do a really good job of marketing in law enforcement successes. We in city government in general. So really it's about marketing some of the good police work, continually reminding people that crime is down. We still have work to do, but continually marketing that, because what does get marketed is crime. Yes. And it's being marketed on social media. It's been marketed on mainstream media. Whenever there's a shooting in our city, it's broadcast 7 or 8 times on different stations. So that's what stays in the minds of people. So we have to counter that with good marketing and good communication to the community.
The local news sort of mantra is, if it bleeds, it leads.
It bleeds, it leads, and it does.
So what do you do as mayor to combat that? 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100 crimes, but it gets the headlines.
Well, we try to, I don't want to say manipulate the media, but we try to shape what the news stories are.
Okay.
So if we're feeding good stories to the media, they're less likely to be so focused on the bad stories. And I think in human nature, we have a tendency to focus on the bad. So we have to get people to realize there's a lot more good than there is bad, and get people to not be so focused on the bad stories.
We are recording this show in the end of January. One of the topics in America, in the world, and certainly at this conference is ICE agents and what's been going on at the federal level and how they're impacting on the local level. What's the conversation that you're hearing at the Conference of Mayors? What are you hearing from other mayors,
sure.
Especially in the cities that have been affected?
Well, mayors in general, whether they're Republican or Democrat mayors, support good immigration policy, immigration reform, securing the borders, which I think our president's done a good job of securing our borders, giving people an opportunity to become U.S. citizens that have come to this country. Unfortunately, we have a lot of work to do there because it takes far too long, in many cases 20 years, if they can get citizenship at all. And then the other is, we agree that criminals who are undocumented need to be removed from our country. If they're serious criminals, they need to be removed. The manner in which that occurs is really what's caused concern across America. And in local government, our number one priority is public safety, keeping communities safe. And what we're seeing in our communities as a result of the presence of ICE and the manner in which some of these tactics are being employed is that we're seeing a lot of civil unrest. And unfortunately, that's led to a division in our cities. The fact that we have to utilize a lot of our resources to police these protests. And so it's created a challenge for local law enforcement, local government.
And the people have a right to protest, and they should.
People have a right to protest. And we encourage people to protest if they have concerns, to do so peacefully, obviously.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, these protests are, people are very passionate, and there's a lot of issues that are occurring now that's turning physical.
Right. What do you do about that?
Well, first and foremost, we have our collective voice as mayors, try to encourage the administration to make sure that officers or ICE agents that are being deployed are well trained in de-escalation.
Are they? Do you think they are?
Not based on what I've seen. I'm sure that there are good ICE agents out there that are very compassionate, that are de-escalating situations, but many of the ones that have been captured on video and played in the media and social media, the tactics are less than desirable.
Right. So as a mayor, what can you do to turn the heat down, I guess?
Well, it's number one is to make sure that we are having our voices heard.
Yeah. Do you feel like they are? Do you feel like your voice is being heard?
I hope so. I know the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, he had a conversation with the president last week. And as a result of that, it seemed to do some good. At the local level, mayors get to hear things firsthand. If there's a concern in the community, we're going to hear about it pretty quickly. That may not be the case at the state and federal level.
Yeah.
And perhaps the president has...
As they see you on the street.
Yeah, or in the grocery store.
Hey, Jerry.
But
come here a minute. I got something for you.
I think, sometimes that message is slow to reach Washington, D.C. And that direct conversation that the president had with the mayor the other day seems to be... maybe we're going to start seeing some of the things that we've seen them back away from.
Are you optimistic?
I want to be optimistic. I'm an optimistic person, and I hope things get better in communities. I hope that the message is loud and clear from America. More and more people who are in full support of deportation of criminals is starting to lose support of ICE in local communities because of the conflict that is occurring between ICE and community members. I've said long ago, if you don't have the permission of communities to police it, you'll be rejected. And that's what we're seeing with ICE right now.
So you're in the Central Valley of California?
Yes.
And this is a very agricultural neighborhood area, a lot of migrant workers. What are you advising your police officers? And, is there a message that you would spread to other cities like yours?
Well, we have a long history of Fresno working with our undocumented community. We do not ask for their immigration status. We're not in the business of enforcing local immigration laws. If you're a criminal, you're going to be arrested and placed in jail. And if ICE decides to deport you, that's on ICE.
Okay.
So that continues to be our policy. We're sharing with our officers that if there is some type of a civil dispute happening as a result of the presence of ICE, and we have to go. The officers have to respond to keep people safe, and so that's really the role of local government.
Okay, if in your area, in your region, like I said, a huge migrant workforce, are you concerned for the people that are living in your area?
I'm concerned based on the fact that they're concerned. There's a lot of fear in our community. From folks that are farm workers, people that we know have been in our city for decades. They've been hardworking. They've raised their family there. Today, they're afraid to go to the doctor's appointment. They're afraid to go to work in some respects.
Probably send their kids to school. And
afraid to get separated from their kids by sending their kids to school and the churches. So there's a lot of fear that is going on. Now, if people knew that the only way they were going to be detained and deported is if they were criminals and they were undocumented, I think there'd be a lot less fear. But that's not what people believe today. They believe that anybody in this city that is undocumented faces a good likelihood of being deported if they're detained or if they're stopped by
And even
ICE.
if they're documented.
Even in some cases, even if they're documented. I just had a reporter today tell me that when they go out now, they carry their passport so they can prove that they're a U.S. citizen. That's never happened.
And in some cases, even that doesn't matter.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we just need to take a breath in America. We need to revisit how we're going to be doing immigration enforcement, and let's start all over if we can.
Do you have a good government solution for this?
I don't yet. all I know is we cannot turn a blind eye to things that are occurring in our communities that we need to address as mayors. And that's what we're trying to do collectively and vocally regarding the issue of ICE in our communities.
And if you didn't have some of these farm workers, what would happen?
If we did not have the farm workers in our community that generally come from Mexico, we would not be able to produce the amount of food that we do across the nation. We are number one in the country in producing agriculture from Fresno. And
what agriculture?
It's important.
What's the main crop?
We a lot of almonds, grapes, citrus. We really have a wide variety of crops, but generally nuts.
This is the agricultural breadbasket of California
nuts
and
fruits.
the West, right?
Nuts and fruits come from Fresno.
Yeah, nuts and fruits. Which are you? All right. You're not answering that one, Mayor. I see you left that one alone. When you talk with other mayors here at the conference, is there any theme that you've seen emerge?
Well, number one is, we have a housing crisis in America still.
Right.
And the need for the federal government to pay closer attention to that crisis, to do some things that would be helpful to allow us to accelerate our housing in local communities. Sometimes that's increased funding. Sometimes that may just be, lessening some of the requirements from NEPA. And so that's number one. I would say also just trying to work with federal government on policies that are very impactful at the local level. Again, it could be housing, could be homeless, could be public safety issues. It could be issues dealing with ICE, but there's a lot of issues that are confronting us locally.
Anybody got a great solution?
I think from a number of solutions that have been out there, we've heard from some of the mayors, but a lot of it has to do with lessening the restrictions that we face in local government, and a lot of areas, one of those being housing.
What would you like to see done, and what are you working on when it comes to housing?
Personally, I know in Fresno, developers have a hard time building because sometimes their projects don't pencil out. They're not profitable. They're not profitable because sometimes they have to, if they're going to accept government money, then there has to be prevailing wage. That prevailing wage causes their labor costs to go up to where they can't afford to do the project. Sometimes they can't get the financing that they need to complete a project. We try to step in local government, find gap financing. All the money that comes from federal government is geared towards affordable housing. Affordable housing in and of itself is not going to solve the housing crisis. We also need market rate housing, and we need to find ways that we can subsidize market rate housing as well, without penalizing developers.
So 40 years in law enforcement in the Fresno Police Department, 18 as police chief. I'm guessing you could have retired and gone fishing. What made you run for mayor?
I felt it was a calling. At that time, I felt a burning sensation inside. I wanted to retire and travel. I've been telling my wife and I have been married 45 years. I've been telling her the vast majority of my life, wait till I retire. We're going to travel and see the world. I got 5 grandkids.
Yeah.
And so everything was good. But I tell you, when you've been in public service, and you feel the call to continue to be in public service, you can't say no.
You are probably the 4th or 5th mayor I've had on the show who is a former police chief. What is it about it being a police chief that makes you a good mayor?
I believe it's the experience that you bring into office. You've dealt with just about every single crisis you could face. You're used to dealing with emergencies, and you don't get rattled. You can't afford to get rattled. When a crisis comes, you respond. You're used to being decisive and making decisions. You're used to being a leader.
Okay.
And I think all of those things are critical. But I will say this. Going from police chief to mayor requires a transition, because when you're a police chief, you're more in tune with giving direction. And when you become,
I know where this is going.
Yeah, when you become a mayor, you have to build more relationships with council members.
Was that hard to figure out at first?
It took about 8 months for me.
Really?
Yeah, but I realized if I was going to get something done, I needed my counsel to be with me.
So you had to adjust your thinking a little bit from being the chief?
I couldn't change him. I had to change me.
All right. And have you changed you?
I have.
All right. So now we're going to get to the easy part. That was the hard part.
All right.
The Good Government Show is sponsored by Our. That's OUR for Our Community. Get involved. We hear that all the time from government leaders. Our co-brands with your government's name and logo. Your staff and the people you serve are connected and part of your community. From any device, your members provide reliable data and meaningful feedback. Ask a question like, do we want more parkland or better homeless services? More engaged conversations come through the Our app. Visit Ourco, that's OURCO.com, and book a demonstration. After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia, and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt, talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. So we have a questionnaire I like to ask all mayors. We start with the hardest question first. Define good government. What is good government?
Good government for me is one that allows officials to serve the community without all of the encumbrances or restrictions that can be placed on them from government in and of itself. So good government is being able to do things efficiently, effectively, maximizing taxpayer dollars. And that's not always the case. Sometimes government has to go through a procurement process that ultimately ends up spending more tax dollars than they would have if they could do it like the private sector.
Okay.
The challenge is there's been a lot of things happen in government over the years where they've abused that authority. They've abused spending authority. So there has to be more checks and balances on government. Those checks and balances cost money.
When you were police chief, you had a budget that you had to work with, but you could do stuff that you felt was necessary within your budget. As mayor, you don't have that, I guess, freedom, do you? Was that a big adjustment?
It is, and I wasn't the type of police chief that wanted to work within the rules of government because, if I saw a need, I would try to meet that need. I'd go out and raise money through my foundation. And then, we built an entire real-time crime center without my mayor knowing about it because I did it with private money. And I just think sometimes in government, you got to do those things.
Okay. If people are frustrated with government, specifically your mayoralty, what should they do?
Vote me out of office.
Okay.
But before they did that, I would like to meet with them. I have an open door in my office to hear from people, hear their concerns within reason. But ultimately, if you don't like a local mayor, you have the opportunity in 4 years to vote him out.
And in the middle of those 4 years, what should you do?
Have your voice heard.
Okay.
No mayor wants people protesting in front of their city hall. There's a way to get mayor's attention, local government's attention, where they may not be able to get a state official's attention. And come to City Hall, have their voice heard.
All right. What drew you to public service? And I mean, 40 years in the police department, what drew you to public service and kept you in it?
Initially, what drew me to public safety was I could not accept when people who could not defend themselves were being victimized. Generally, women, children, and seniors. That was something I just couldn't handle. When domestic violence, elder abuse, child abuse, those are the things that truly drew me into law enforcement. The desire to protect people who were not able to protect themselves.
Did you always think that you would eventually run for political office?
No.
No?
I hate politics. I never wanted to be the mayor.
Okay. But yet.
In fact, people that came to me when I was nearing retirement and asked me to run for mayor, it would upset me. And in fact, I responded in a very negative fashion to those people. And I said, I don't want to be the mayor. I'll never be the mayor. And
never say never.
Never say never.
You learned. You learned the hard way.
And here I am.
So you've been reelected once?
Yes.
All right. Who inspires you? Do you have a political hero?
In terms of political heroes, I don't know I can point to anyone. I will say there's a lot of fellow mayors that I look up to. David Holt, our president, being one of them. He is
David
somebody.
Holt, the president of the conference and mayor of Oklahoma City.
He's a guy who's been a long time mayor in Oklahoma City. He's somebody I look up to. Todd Gloria from San Diego. He's again somebody that I think has done well as a mayor. And there's a number of other people that I would say that I admire. I don't know that they inspire me simply because they're in government.
Okay. You've been mayor for 5 years now. What would you like people to know about government that they don't know?
I would want people to know how hard people in government work. I think there's this misnomer out there that people in government don't care, or maybe they're in it for personal reasons. And there's a lot of politicians in it for the wrong reason, personal reason. But from what I've seen, the vast majority of the people, especially at the mayor level, they're in it for the right reason. They work hard, they're tireless, they care about their cities, and they're there to make a difference. And I wish more people knew that.
What are you doing and what can be done to promote government or to restore people's faith in government?
Well, I think what I try to do as a mayor of Fresno is to be visible, to be accessible. You know, you can ask anyone in Fresno. I show up. I show up for events, and we market what we're doing in Fresno. I have a great marketing team that really, on a daily basis, we're marketing things that we're doing, whether it's paving streets, building a park, building a senior center, the things that we're doing, we want people to know. And we market that every single day.
What's a better job, being police chief or being mayor?
Police chief was
really? No question.
You know, as a police chief, you got to see immediate results.
Okay.
Whereas as a mayor, sometimes the projects or the things you're working on, it'll take 5 or 6 years before you see the outcome.
What's the best part of being mayor?
I think the best part about being mayor is probably all of the different things that you're involved in with the airport, you know, transportation issues, parks, having the ability to make your city better beyond public safety.
Okay. So are you learning on the job about parks departments and sanitation and airport laws?
I told my wife one time, I don't care about garbage and water and parks, but when you become a mayor, you better care about them real fast. And I'm very, very proud of what we're doing in all of those areas. And quite frankly, now that I'm a mayor, I spend very little time on policing issues.
I bet. You just call up the police chief and go, you know what to do.
Yeah,
just do it.
Handle it.
Just don't do stupid stuff. Is your police chief somebody you served with?
Yeah. You know, I have a female police chief. I appointed her, first female police chief in the history of our city.
Yeah. Did you work with her on the department?
I did. I elevated her several times, promoted her.
Okay.
She got interested in law enforcement when she was 16. She rode along with my sister, who is a police officer in Fresno, was the first motorcycle officer, female motorcycle officer in Fresno. And this Chief Castro, Mindy Castro, rode with my sister, got interested, and became a cop.
And now
she's a police chief.
All right. I have never been to Fresno, California. If I'm coming, you're going to take me out. Where are we going? What's the dish of Fresno? What's the one cuisine we must try?
Man, we're probably going to go over to Pismo's and have some seafood.
You are landlocked, you know.
We have a Pismo's restaurant in Fresno.
All right.
Incredible seafood, and then we have a lot of steakhouses. And if you like Mexican food, no one has more or better Mexican food than Fresno.
What's the best local dish?
God, we have so many. We have Los Amigos that is incredible for their Mexican dishes. God, we have too many to choose from, quite frankly.
All right. I thought you were going to say raisins.
No raisins.
No raisins. Where do you get your news from? Do you read about yourself?
I do, but not as much as I used to. I look at social media. I don't do social media. My team does it.
Okay.
But I look at some of the social media
you have
that
your
is
team
out
standing
there.
behind you here. Hopefully they'll talk about us.
And I never look at trying to never look at the comments on social media.
Probably a good idea. This is the Good Government Show. We always bring it back to good government. Tell me about a good government project that you've started as mayor you're really proud of.
One of those is, there's several of them, but one of them is we have what's called a Pay More Now, Pay Later program. We have some really dilapidated streets in our city. And the longer you wait to repave those streets, the more it costs in terms of inflation, road degradation. What it costs to repair a street today could triple in 2 years. And so the more you can pave today and work on streets, the less it's going to cost you. So we bonded $100 million to do a pay more now, pay later program. And we're having remarkable results throughout Fresno. I'd also say Measure P, which is a sales tax in Fresno for parks. And so now we're able to build more parks, more community centers than we ever have before. We have a $43 million senior center that we're in the process of developing right now. And we've been able to cobble funds from Measure P and a number of other things. But I would say being able to put together governmental programs based on future funding that we're bonding against. And we're able to do it a lot cheaper today than we would in 5 years.
Is that good money? Is that government money well spent?
It is. It's good government funding well spent. From a housing perspective, I'll tell you, when I first became the mayor, the year before, we had only been involved in 88 affordable housing units in our city. In 2025, we were involved in 800. This year, we're on target to do 1,600. So those affordable housing projects are something I'm very proud of. And Project Off-Ramp, we had folks that were living on our freeway embankments, homeless people, over 600 of them. We purchased shelters, purchased motels, converted those to emergency shelters. We contract with nonprofit organizations. They provide the counseling, job training, and we're getting those folks into permanent housing. So a lot of good government work happening in Fresno and a lot of good community work happening in Fresno.
So it sounds like the travel the world is going to be put off for a few more years.
Yeah, 3 more years at least, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Jerry Dyer, the mayor of Fresno, California, the former police chief of Fresno, California, 18 years as police chief, 40 years in the police department, and now 5 years as mayor. That's quite a career in public service.
Thank you. I've enjoyed not every bit of it, but most of it.
Most of it. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you.
Want to hear more about good government? Check out another show I host, Leading Iowa, Good Government in Iowa Cities. I host the show with Brad Kavanaugh, mayor of Dubuque, Iowa, and the immediate past president of the Iowa League of Cities. Together, we talk to leaders in Iowa cities. We talk about what works and what good government looks like in Iowa. Join us right here where you're listening now. That's Leading Iowa, Good Government in Iowa Cities. We need to take a breath, says Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer. Good advice for the federal government and for local leaders. And if you want, extend that to everyone out there trying to stop what ICE is doing. Not because they shouldn't be out there protesting, they should. But maybe if we all take a breath, we can figure out a way to make sure no one else is killed on America's streets. That's good advice from Mayor Jerry Dyer of Fresno, California. And again on this episode of The Good Government Show, you heard from someone who said they had a calling to public service. 40 years in public service. That's quite a calling and quite a great record of service. Now, after all that, time to try some of that local Mexican food. Well, that's our show. Thanks for listening. Please like us and share us with your friends and review us right here where you're listening. And check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com, for extras. Help us keep telling stories of good government in action everywhere. Join us again for another episode right here. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.
This podcast is part of the Democracy Group.